Officials are issuing warnings of possible retaliatory attacks right here at home. Tom Winter joins me tonight. Tom, we just got a new warning in from the State Department. What's it saying?
Right, just as we're coming on the air, the State Department warning all U.S. citizens abroad about potential threats, acknowledging the situation in Iran and the Middle East. Here at home, it's kind of a two-pronged threat, the physical and the cyber. And tonight, law enforcement agencies in multiple cities have stepped up their presence at sensitive sites like houses of worship, cultural centers, and diplomatic sites. The goal is to stop someone who is angered by the war in the Middle East from conducting an attack here. They're also looking for cyber attacks, which could temporarily take a website offline or deface a site. And then there's the concern about people backed by Iran who could already be here. A sleeper cell? Well, in the last several years, law enforcement has charged multiple people in a range of plots tied to Iran, from an attempted assassination on then-President-elect Trump to a potential attack against an Iranian activist and journalist here in New York City. It's all on law enforcement's radar.
For this, as I watched cable news all day today, it said on the bottom of the screen, "Does Iran have sleeper cells?" ? And I thought to myself, it would be more shocking if they didn't have people that they'd infiltrated over the southern border in the past 4 years than if they did.
Well, thank you for having me, Leland, and you're absolutely right. I don't even understand why this is a question. I hate to be so blunt, but that's how I feel about it. They have sleeper cells here. They have, quite frankly, for decades. I don't actually think that this is new. I think we may have more of an influx, right, that we're discussing, but this isn't new. They're here. They have been here. They are just waiting for the right moment, and the fact that we're curious and questioning as to whether or not they're here is actually very shocking to me.
All right, so the Ayatollah, America will suffer if America gets involved in the war. Take a listen.
America's intervention in this matter is 100% to their detriment. What they will suffer in this regard is much greater than what Iran may suffer. The damage America will suffer if it makes a military intervention in this field will undoubtedly be irreparable.
What does a sleeper cell attack look like? Is this another 9/11 or something different?
I think it could be a combination. I actually don't think it's going to look like a 9/11 type attack, a very complex attack. That's really what 9/11 was. It required a lot of money, a lot of financing, and a lot of planning. I don't think that's what we're going to see here because obviously the world has changed, right, in the last 25 years. And there's been a lot of success in these kind of lone wolf or inspired by attacks. And so I think they're going to be kind of more lone wolf style. I also think that we could be looking at attacks to our critical infrastructure as well that we are not expecting. So I think it's going to look less like a 9/11 style attack, sort of shock and awe, if you will, and more in an unsuspecting way. And I actually am very concerned about our critical infrastructure.
You know, you think about July 4th coming up, that would be target number one. Every city and town in America has gatherings, and we know what can happen at big gatherings. History of sleeper cells in the United States, obviously the Soviet Union was some of the best at having their illegals. The World Trade Center bombing, the Millennial Plot, September 11th, Detroit sleeper cell, Disneyland plot, Hezbollah operative arrests. How do you find, and I hate to use the sort of cliche, I don't think you're looking for a needle in a haystack. You're looking for a needle in a hay field or hay barn, right?
You're absolutely right. It's near impossible to find these individuals because, you know, as you mentioned before, some of them did not enter the U.S. legally, but some of them actually are homegrown, right? So we have this combination that makes it incredibly difficult to identify individuals that might not even come up on our radar. I mean, even if you go back as far as to September 11th, right? Those individuals had actually entered the U.S. legally. Had we checked their visas properly, obviously we would have known because we know that now. But that's the difficult part of all of this. They lead these seemingly normal lives, right? Drawing no attention to themselves whatsoever. But they have to get messages in some way. They have to get a signal in some way. And that's where I'm hoping they will slip up and we will ultimately catch them.